Welcome back to the commentator desk, guys. You have Elise and Elise. Well, I mean, sorry, Lazarus Tellraven and Elise here on the commentator desk for this political showdown. Test Alliance versus Triumvirate. From the test side, we have the Balgorn, Leshak, Oneros, Myrmidon, Navy Omen, Confessor, Vengeance, Vedmak, Purifier, Hound, and what we have for Tri.
All right, so Tri in the blue side has a very similar looking setup, with the exception of they've got the Navy Mega instead of the Balgorn, their flagship Leshak, and Oneros, a Rook and a Falcon pair, a Magus for links, a Pontifex also for links, a Vedmak, which is that great Triglavian cruiser we were talking about before, and a Purifier and a Punisher for tackle. And they're actually pretty close to one another. I think they're just outside of Bow web range, but it'll be very close. These Megathron hulls, or this Megathron hull and this Leshak hull, have to burn in pretty quickly and just coast through that Balgorn web.
Yeah, I believe the Balgorn web range is, I think, 27 kilometers with heat. So since you can't have Balgorn or the flagship on the Balgorn for the webs anymore, if they can get a little bit of range, they can close the distance and get the webs applied as the match is starting. You see,
right. Yeah, here we go. Lesh of the test team, of the Tappy team, has been TD'd, which is pretty crucial. The tracking disruptors really screw over the Leshak as their ramp up. Meanwhile, Tappy have gone and nuded and started to target paint the Triumvirate flagship Leshak, and they've scrammed and screened off the Navy Mega. This is a huge piloting win for Tappy right here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure going for Leshak is the best option because you do have the Abyssal modules, the Abyssal reps. I mean, Leshak is going to be super, super tanky. I do feel that Navy Mega would have been the better target here since they can apply tackle and DPS to it.
So Saiku from the test team is in the test Vengeance, and he got that crucial initial tackle on the Megathron, and he has broken off, and he is now coming back a little bit once his team has been able to get some damage in.
Yeah, really well piloted.
Yeah, he just darted in and out like a little feather guy. Chester would be proud. But the Balgorn is the primary for the Tri team. This Leshak has ramped up to full damage. It is hurting this Balgorn very, very hard. Balgorn scrammed, webbed, grappled, nuded, jammed. Everything is going off on it, and this Lesh is even smart bombing. And then we see some fireworks as well. Props to the Tappy team. But this Balgorn is going to go down, and Tappy aren't going to get anything for it.
Yeah, if you look at the control bars, you have a huge control bar from Triumvirate, whereas the only control you're having from the test side is the news from the Balgorn, news and webs. This Balgorn is actually holding for a second as he, he's sinking back down. He's slowly going to enter structure. They're not making any dent into this flag Leshak, and you see scrams and webs being applied to the Punisher as well, so they might be swapping off to kill some of the support.
Yep, all of the armor rep bots from the Tappy side seem to be dead or at least being pulled back. The smart bomb from this flagship Leshak on the Tri side has cleared them all, and there it goes. The Balgorn is down. That was a linchpin for the Tappy team that they needed to keep up. Meanwhile, the Tri team have a Rook and Falcon that are completely unharassed. They're just sitting there applying all of their control, making tests unable to do anything at all. And now Tri have focused onto the Leshak of the Tappy side.
Yeah, I mean, I think they get blinded by the flagship on the field. They went straight for it, right into that bait tank. And instead of taking off either the Falcon or a Rook or something else besides this officer tank Leshak.
Yeah, absolutely. And this Leshak is now ramping up on the Tappy Leshak. So the Tri Leshak, it is getting nuded, it is getting nosed, but it still appears to be firing a little bit at least. The damage is pretty slow incoming, and it looks like Tri have taken a pretty measured approach. They've decided to go after a little bit of the Vedmak, maybe. The Tri support wing is actually holding down a lot of these ships from the Tappy side, and are pretty much just able to dismantle whatever they choose. We see a Purifier down, another Hound is about to go down, so Tri is just staying calm under the pressure and just killing whatever they see fit.
Yeah, you said that Hound slowly sinking into armor as he gets rep back up. He does have pretty low sig, so he might be able to kite away. He is not tackled, but you do see grapplers applied to the Myrmidon and the Leshak of test. The only tackle coming out on the other side is the Navy Mega, so he's not going to be able to move there. But you're not really seeing any damage being split across the field on Triumvirate, whereas you see, oh wow, the Hound just get erased.
Yeah, and this Leshak is now on low armor. It is going to go down. I believe this Oneros might have gotten a successful jam on it. That could have been what Tri were waiting for, since they have such a high jamming output with the Rook and the Falcon there. They might have just been waiting for the Oneros to get jammed before they went on a larger target. And there she blows. Tappy have lost their core battleships, a Balgorn and a Leshak. They've now only got a Navy, Omen, and a Myrmidon left, with the rest of their support and a Vedmak. Looks like the Vedmak is being really well controlled right now by this Punisher on the Tri side. So Tappy, which has looked like a great team in previous years, is just getting manhandled right now by the Tri side.
Definitely. As you see on the attack bar, their attack bar went from being about the same size as Triumvirate down to a third of what it was. Damage slowly coming in on the Myrmidon as that Leshak's damage ramps up. And this, I mean, I don't think there's a chance for them to actually come back. As they lose more and more ships, these jams are going to be just applied to everything that's left.
Yeah, and this Rook and Falcon from the Tri side, they didn't even have a single drone thrown out on them. No one came near them. No one got within 20 kilometers of them. They didn't even especially kite all that much. They are actually sitting right next to one another. They're probably holding hands out there saying, man, we sure love ECM.
I mean, ATXVI, I mean, it's really, really overpowering, especially, like I said, when they start losing ships. And I still think that Test just got baited on a free Leshak.
Yeah, well, that's the tricky part about the flagship Leshak. It really does change the dynamic quite a bit. As you saw it try, they didn't even have to go on the logistics ship for Tappy. They were just able to melt down that Balgorn first, which they identified as the linchpin for the test team. The longer a Balgorn lives, the more annoying it is for the opponent, because the nuding, the nosing, it just has a wearing effect on your team. So getting that out of the way early, incredibly smart, very well played. And you know what? That Leshak also able to smart bomb off all of the armor rep bots. Black Bar Pirate was mentioning it before. The rep bots are kind of like the hidden thing in the Alliance Tournament. You don't really see the effect of them until they're gone. So the Leshak with that faction smart bomb or officer smart bomb was able to get those out of the way in just 1 or 2 pulses. Huge effect on there as we see the rest of the Tappy team getting dismantled. Unfortunately, though, there is no trash talk in local.
You would think for such a political match, you would have some sort of comments in local, maybe after the match, or maybe they're just trying to keep it sportsmanlike. But like you said, the Balgorn was starting to tank up until that Leshak burned in and used probably its officer smart bombs to nuke those drones off.
Yep, so while Goons prevailed, perhaps they needed to have Progod or Vili on the Tappy team for the test team to really feel that morale surge. So they'll be relegated to the lower bracket. It's the elimination bracket, so they're not eliminated yet. But Triumvirate will kind of go through this. Almost none of their ships took any measurable damage. I mean, this is the first Myrmidon we've seen from the Tappy side. Kind of an odd choice, as that Confessor just gets absolutely melted. Test, they might have lost, but they did have some pretty good piloting, especially with their Vengeance. He actually went in and got a very crucial screen on that negative Megathrone by the Tri side. But Tri just prevailed, and their Rook and Falcon brought home the victory as well with their flag Leshak. So really, really good showing here by the Tri side. And again, this is the first time I think we've seen it in a while. The blue side ends up winning. Red's been winning all day, and now blue finally gets a notch under their belt thanks to the Tri team.
This Omen's still alive, burning away. He is heading up towards the MJD beacon, just trying to save a few points, I guess. The morale Omen save.
He could be trying to go for a record. Our stats crew does compile a great list of records. One of them is how far you can get out of the boundary of the Alliance Tournament. So far, no one's really gone that far out. So maybe Talinas is trying to kind of break that. Nope.
He is outside the, yep, dead.
He just barely goes out. He gets to 131, so he gets 6 kilometers outside of the arena. Tappy with the record-breaking 6 kilometers outside of the arena, but Tri take the match 100-0. A clean, dominant sweep with that flag Leshak. For Laztel and I am going to send it back to the boys in the studio to break down what just happened.
Two Abaddons.
Two Abaddons.
Did I say 3?
Yes. Where's he catching reps from? Is the Proteus repping here?
Could be.
But you can't have cap transfers on an Executor. A remote tracking booster?
No.
Docking request denied.
Hi guys, try escaping defeat just like they escaped UALX there from Test Alliance. Please explode as they lose all of their ships in a morale victory for Try. So Tonya, how did that go down for Try there? Was it just that Test were baited in on a free Leshak? I mean, what happened?
Yeah, it seems kind of like Try brought a lot of good E-War to counter Test Alliance. They had the Falcon and the Rook there. They also had a tracking disruptor on their Leshak the entire time, which meant he had to burn in a lot closer. They probably reset his ramp a few times by, like just moving it about every now and then.
And Bart, what do you make of that match? Was it what you expected, or?
Wasn't quite what I expected, but I think that the reason why Tappy lost is they brought like a pretty solid battleship setup, but all of their support was just trash. Like they brought Myrmidon. Jintan said it was the 6th best battlecruiser, which when there's only 8 T1 battlecruisers or so, or I guess 12, being 6th best is not very good. So they just didn't have any of the support they needed to make anything work. So whereas Try's team, they had pretty good setup.
Yeah, and I'm actually hearing that Try are currently anchoring bubbles in the arena just now to stop the remaining Test Alliance. Please ignore pods getting out and the guys that are trapped logging back in. So that's a big development, anchoring bubbles in the arena. I don't know how CCP will respond to that. We wait and find out, and we'll keep you updated. In the meantime, we have some more stats. So the furthest travelled by a single ship in Alliance Tournament 16 is 1,979 kilometres by the Coat Hanger Strangler. For Purple Helmeted Warriors. I think Alexei just puts these together so we read some of these names out, because that's a fantastic name. And we have a graph. We can show you a graph. It's going to be picks and wins by ship class ready. So let's have a look at that. They're getting it. I can hear frantically people clicking in my headset as they are pulling up the graph now. Oh, we have a different graph. So we're going to go, this is a hard-hitting one. This is baseliner lives/crew lost in the Alliance Tournament so far. So that looks like 7,000 members of the crew in battleships there. That's a lot of crew dying for your viewing pleasure as spaceships just blow up. Sometimes we forget how many people sacrifice their lives for our entertainment. And how does this make you feel, Bart?
Well, not capsuleers, they don't matter.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's move on. So, coming up, we have Snuffed Out versus Shattered Foundation. So this will actually be our last match of the day. We don't have much more today, but we have loads more tomorrow. So make sure you tune in then, as we'll have many, many more matches. But if this is your first time watching the Alliance Tournament, or maybe you think, hey, what the hell is all this? Then perhaps you should tune in on Wednesday on the CCP stream on Twitch for the AT Explained show. That will be at 2200 Eve time, hosted by myself and featuring many wonderful guests, such as Sutonia, Brett, Bart.
Might have Brett on it too.
Brett might be on
we'll
it.
Find out.
Yeah, we could have Brett and Bart, and then
There
I'll
you
just
go.
call you both the
That'd
wrong
be
name all the
great.
time. Yeah, that's the way to go. But let's look forward to the next match. So that's going to be, as I said, Snuffed Out versus Shattered Foundations. So, Snuffed Out. So, Tonya, tell me a little bit about their AT team.
Yeah, I think Snuffed Out are a team that could potentially be top 16. Last year they did pretty well. I believe they went 2-2, and they only really lost to pretty strong teams. I think they lost to the Ronin and another strong team.
They lost to NC Dot.
NC Dot, yeah. So two very good teams, and they also beat two kind of okay teams as well. So
Yeah, they beat Project Mayhem and Whole Control.
yeah, both of them not the worst. So.
Yeah, and they're actually bringing a flagship Paladin to the Alliance Tournament. So the third Marauder flagship that we will possibly see today. On the other hand, Shattered Foundation, no history, and no flagship. So
Yeah.
it's a bit awkward.
Their Alliance Tournament foundations are shattered.
I was gonna say, I mean, Snuffed Out, they absorbed Project Mayhem over the last year, so they got, I think both of those teams separately, they were both, pretty okay. Together, at the very least, they have a very good pool of pilots now. So I think that they're definitely like a top 16 contender, maybe a top 8 contender this year.
Yeah, and we have seen so far Imperium aligned teams do really well, either through winning legitimately by being better than the other team, or simply not losing because the other team cheat. So I don't think an Imperium team has lost yet. You can think of any?
Well, I mean, depends on what you think about Tappy.
Well, yeah, that's true.
ProGod did say the casino war.
So
That's,
he's kind of admitted I don't know.
Yeah, so they're going to fold in soon enough.
Yeah, goalpost moved.
Yeah. So what do we think then between Snuffed Out and Shattered Foundations? I think this one could probably be a fairly easy prediction, but I'm still going to check with you. So Bart/Brett, what are you going to say? Snuffed Out or Shattered Foundations?
Snuffed Out because they're my favorite low-set group.
Snuffed Out, I have no idea who Shattered Foundations are, and I think Snuffed Out are a good team, so I'm going to go with Snuff.
I agree as well. Snuff have kind of gone from strength to strength recently. There was a time where Snuff and Shadow Cartel were sort of like level pegging, with maybe Shadow Cartel being the more dominant force in low sec. But Snuffed Out over the last like year and a half, 2 years have just kind of absorbed Project Mayhem, as you mentioned. They've got bigger, they've got better, and they recently killed the Shadow Cartel Keepstar in Aishi. So nailing that coffin right there. The Poco era is gone. Yeah, Wellbagger is rolling in his virtual grave somewhere. So, right, so we have another about a minute as the teams, sounds like there's a bit of an issue as the teams are being moved just now. So what's been your favourite match of the day so far?
I really liked the Goonswarm one. There was enough of the kind of back and forth, really close matches, and that's kind of what I like to see. I don't really like to see the stomps, though. I did think that the 2 minute and 27-second one between, I can't remember who they are now.
The Templars one.
Templars, yeah. That was funny, but the Goon one was definitely my favorite.
And what about you, Sutonia?
I really liked Samurai Soul Out versus Barcode Alliance. It was a big upset. It really surprised a lot of us, and it was really cool to see like two high alpha execution teams go up against each other.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think both of those matches are just like, as you mentioned, the Goonswarm one was just one of the most exciting matches of the day. The Templars one was just really cool to see that, great execution of that bomb run, just wipe out the Novak team. And then the Barcode Alliance getting kind of stood up by Samurai Sold Out there, and no one expected that. And it's always nice to see the underdogs be the ones that actually win. So let's have a look at updated picks and wins by ship class, which has now been updated for the last few matches as well. So we're going to pop that up right now. So we can see here the Industrial still lagging behind a little bit. Not so many picks as we might have expected. But yeah, I think it's won every time it's appeared, which is 1. So 100% success rate if you pick an Industrial. That's clearly a good stat. Any of these jump out, Sutonia? We're seeing Cruiser a lot higher now than it was before.
Yeah, we also, Destroyer hasn't been picked too much, and it hasn't been too successful either.
Yeah, it's probably the one that like dips in. All the rest of them, it's like the same shape, just bigger. But the Destroyer there is being picked, but not winning quite as much, or rather, it's winning when it's picked. I think is what that means there. So the more it's picked, the more it wins.
I think I saw a really good Destroyer play by at least a few teams where they've recognized that they do a ton of damage for such a small ship, and they were kind of using them to fly around and cause pressure. So, I know 2 years ago it was one of the ships that was just changing the way, like if you had good Destroyer pilots, you would win. And I'm wondering if maybe we're going to see a bit of a resurgence with that, just because, like, again, T3 Destroyers do a ton of damage. And also, like, you're going to bring them if you don't bring battle cruisers just for links. And I think it's looking like battle cruisers aren't maybe doing as particularly well as they did last year. So. Yeah.
Destroyers, especially the Command Destroyer, is going to be one of the more technical, difficult ships to fly. You have to manage a lot of different things, and I know a couple of the sort of the topper tier teams, they have more links than you can online, and actually online and offline links in the match. So you'll see them land with some links online, burst them before the match starts, which is legal. Pay attention, Quebec, is legal. Then they'll reload or online another link module and burst it as the match starts, giving them a full spread of links compared to a regular ship. So we are ready to hand to the very last match of the day in the arena. It's going to be Snuffed Out versus Shattered Foundations, and we're going to look and see who wins that now.